And hello and welcome to another episode of Multiplayered, the podcast by Gamers for Gamers. I am your not regularly scheduled host, Javier Ortiz, alongside the usually regularly scheduled host, Zach Matscanis.
Yo, yo, yo! Welcome everybody to another oh wait, that's not me today.
You
I'm
shut
not doing
up,
the
that's my line
duties.
now. And also joining us this week, it's the man that time has not forgotten, Mick Wood. Mick, what's up, buddy?
Who, me?
That's you.
Oh, me. Oh, hey. Hey, guys.
How you
Good
been?
to see you. I've been alive, been living, breathing,
Nice.
Enjoying life.
Nice. I'm glad to hear it. I hear you're on the Twitch world now. How's that been going?
Yeah, I just launched my Twitch at the beginning of this year, or maybe end of last year. And so far it's been fun. It's kind of given me a new perspective on gaming and allowed me to be more creative and fun. And it's just, with being locked down, I get to be creative with video work again, and I just love it. It's so much fun.
Nice, that's awesome. What's been your go-to game to stream, or if you have one?
I do Tuesday nights. I do a variety of games, but lately it's been a new game I picked up called Escape from Tarkov, which has been unbelievably fun. It's like a first-person shooter, kind of realistic battle royale in a sense.
Okay.
And then on Thursday nights, I usually do a VR stream. So I got my Oculus right here.
Ooh, fancy.
Or not Oculus, I have my Valve Index, sorry. I got the Valve Index, and I do a VR stream, and I've been doing Phasmophobia VR, Beat Saber, Pistol Whip, just a variety of different games. I think Beat Saber and Pistol Whip have been my favorite to stream so far.
Nice, that's awesome. I'll tune in this upcoming Thursday to check out the VR.
6:15 p.m.
Nice. All right, cool. Sounds good. Pacific Standard Time, right?
Pacific Standard Time. Twitch.tv/Mick
Sweet. Cool. And also, by the way, just for you listeners, just want to let you guys know that Multiplayered is available on all podcast platforms, Stitcher, Spotify, etc., and also available on YouTube for the video version if you want to look at our faces. Not that they're nice to look at. Anyway, let's start the show, fellas. Some really cool news came out this week. You all know that Halloween is probably the best holiday of the year, and I always love having spooky times. And, better late than never for it to be in January, because there's been a lot of Resident Evil news that came out this past week involving Resident Evil Village or Resident Evil 8 coming out later this year on the heels of the very successful and popular Resident Evil 7. There was a showcase this past week. They showed really cool footage, a new trailer. A demo came out for Resident Evil Village, as well as some news about a new multiplayer deathmatch kind of style game. But just to get into it a little bit, did any of you play the demo or check it out? Because I did. I really liked it.
I sure did.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
I
checked it out.
I did not, so...
Mick, just leave.
Well, let's let the followers. Where can you get this demo so we can try it out?
I played it on my PS5. I mean, you could download it on PS4, PS5, Xbox. It's really cool.
Oh, you can do it on all of them. Okay.
Are you sure? I thought it was just PS5. It was available for.
I believe that.
I think so.
You can fact check me.
I think it was.
I haven't checked.
Let me double check.
I haven't checked the Xbox side of things because I don't have one.
Riff for a second.
Well, I've been playing on my PS5. I just downloaded it the other day. Super fun, very creepy. The creepy feels are back, and because I didn't play Resident Evil 7, I'm not used to the first person side of things. I think that's a first for Resident Evil games to be in first person. In 7, the Biohazard one, it definitely ups the creepy factor for me. Typically, it's a third-person game, so you can at least have a little bit more of a viewing angle. But first-person, really creepy. It spooked me quite a bit. But the trailer or the demo is, I think it's called Maiden, because you don't actually play as the main character, the main protagonist for Resident Evil 8. You're playing as just this no-name maiden character in this castle. And you start out in the dungeon. It's really creepy, and then you make your way out of the dungeon, and you're inside like this beautiful castle. And man, it's creepy.
What's even creepier is that it's a PlayStation 5 exclusive demo.
Oh,
so.
See, that's even cooler.
I just want to go back. You were saying you're going through a castle. I thought you were talking about Mario for a second, but I got lost.
There are a lot of similarities between this and Mario. You're playing as someone who needs to save the world?
And in a sense, sure.
That's all too similar to me.
Yeah, it's basically the same game, same concept.
I got a question. When you talk about the jumps, like the creepiness, is it like jump scares, sounds? What makes it creepy for you?
The ambiance. There is really creepy noises in the background. You can hear like footsteps in different directions, and like at one point you see like this lady in like a black like dress and a black veil, and she's really creepy. And the first time I played through it, I like froze. I was like, oh, I don't want to go near her. And then the second time I played through it, I'm like, I'm just gonna run up and see what happens. And when you do that, she just kind of disappears, like, and she becomes like a bunch of like bugs flying away and like flies and mosquitoes and stuff. It's really,
oh god,
yeah, it's really unsettling. But other than that, it's a very beautiful demo though. Like the set design, the art design, I think in the game, from what I've seen so far in the demo, it's really pretty to look at. Like they did a really good job creating that little world that you're in, that castle.
Yeah, it's got really good atmosphere. I would compare it to PT in a lot of ways, except instead of being trapped in a hallway and basically like an infinite loop for the most part, you're kind of trapped in like this much longer corridor that is this little dungeon / castle, parts of a castle. So it's pretty cool. I was playing with headphones on. I don't know about you, Hav, but I was I basically like walking around, you hear like the chains kind of swinging, hear like something creak or kind of shift. And so I mean the sound design, I think is pretty solid. Other than I gotta say, your character's footsteps, not a fan. I hated the sound of those footsteps. It just it just sounds like you're kind of walking in like a marsh or something. It's just like,
oh, you got them bloody feet.
I guess so. And you would think like as somebody escaping a dungeon, you'd be a little softer on your feet, and at least in the mix in my headphones, it just sounded like you got like rocks for feet, and you're just like, stomping around super loud with inside of a marsh for some reason, and and then like when you. The building makes you just want to kind of look around.
Yeah, for sure.
So, like, when you're doing, like, a 360, it just sounds like you're taking, like, 20 steps. So, you'll do, like, or, like, a 180, you'll just turn to see something behind you. It's like, who's there? And it's just like, bah, 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 bah. It's like, why is this person taking so many steps when you're just turning around? It's just, you learn that in basketball. That's like a 1 foot pivot right there. It's like.
Are there any games that you think have great footstep sounds, though? Because I've noticed in a lot of the games I've been playing lately, your character footsteps are just so obnoxiously loud. I've been playing a lot of first-person shooters, so like Call of Duty, even this Escape from Tarkov game. A lot of the realistic games are enhancing your own personal footstep sounds, and it just seems like lately I haven't seen a game with great footstep sounds.
Yeah, that's actually a great idea for like you should do like a top 10 list of like best video games with like footstep sounds. And I gotta say, one that would probably be up there is probably Overwatch. I think the footsteps are pretty great in that game.
Yeah, they're actually different. They're all different. Like the characters. Some characters are like fucking just walking around like bricks on their feet.
Yeah,
that's great.
And then same thing with Astrobot for PS5. That little ting 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 ting, the little metal footsteps. Sure. I think those are great. But as far as footsteps and especially like Resident Evil games, they've always been kind of terrible. I feel like you always just have like the world's loudest shoes. and the original like Resident Evil games, for the like OG PlayStation and stuff. I mean, every character just. Your character sounds like you got like wooden clogs on, and then the zombies sound like they just are walking through a marsh. It's like
when I was a kid, I first like saw like Resident Evil gameplay, like because I was playing like I think my cousin was playing and I was watching, but like all I kept thinking of, their footsteps sounded like wet tap dance shoes on like pure concrete. Like the way it just sounded, it was like these perfect like clack clack, like just really loud, distinct noises. I'm like, whose shoes sound like that? Like I've never heard this noise before. It's like they're always walking on like wet cobblestones, and they sound like horses on cobblestones almost.
part-time tap dancers. You don't know. Come on.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's,
all the
they gotta
zombies.
make money.
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah, so I know I kind of like jumped in on just like one little thing. Like, these shoes sound stupid, but it kind of like it sort of throws you off a little bit. You're in this like very
really
like
does.
atmospheric space. You're in first person, so it's like really what you're doing is just taking in the environment from like the visuals to the sounds, and like that one really threw me off. Hopefully the final version, they really he puts a different pair of shoes on or something. The main character.
Well, you're not.
Ethan Winters,
Yeah,
I think his
you're
name
not
is,
playing as the main character in this, so that might be a reason why.
Yeah. Maybe she had like sponges on on her feet.
There's no like cosmetic items in that game, is there? Like you can change outfits or anything? Is that a thing?
Not in this demo.
Okay.
It's this demo is pretty bare bones.
Yeah, and I don't know if they would do that, because since it's now first person. I don't know if they thought about like, let's change up what they wear, because I know like in previous RE games you can get different outfits. Resident Evil 4 comes to mind because it's my favorite one, but like you can change Leon's outfit when you play through the game a couple times and you unlock stuff. But I don't know if that'll be a feature in this one. Again, I haven't played 7, and that was also first person, so I don't know if that one had cosmetic changes, but I can't imagine they would, since it's first person.
I was gonna say go barefoot.
That's
It just sound like you're clapping on the floor.
Yeah, you would think these people would just really just step with a slightly softer step.
Well, maybe that's just the Resident Evil staple: loud feet.
Yeah, and like, just speaking of like staples in general, like this demo, I'm a big Resident Evil fan. I've always been. I played the original, for the original PlayStation. Same thing with Resident Evil 2, 3, 4. All of them, love them. And this demo really gave me vibes of the Spencer Mansion from the original game. It like really felt like the Spencer Mansion in a lot of ways, and even the music, once you kind of get into the castle, kind of sounds like something you would hear in the Spencer Mansion or one of the save rooms in some of the games. Like, it kind of has that that kind of melody kind of to it. And so I was definitely getting some Spencer Mansion vibes and stuff. Ultimately, I'm a fan of like the third person view in those games. Like,
Same.
I don't need that. I don't need horror in my face like that.
Yeah, just give me just a little bit of separation, just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you. I actually, what's funny, when I played through it, I also got a little bit of Bloodborne vibes from it. Especially from like the trailer they showed, a little bit of combat. There were these characters that you faced off in the trailer, not the demo, where they like have these like hoods and robes, and they have like these long outstretched arms with claws, and they're really creepy looking, and they look like creatures from Bloodborne, to be honest with you. And there's a lot of blood talk, and they may be vampires in this game. I'm not sure, but they sound vampire-y. And again, blood seems to be a theme in the demo. Like, there's a little bit of blood work going on. There's blood in the dungeons. You got to find a key in the blood, or the lockpick in the bucket of blood. And then they talk about like the lady has a fancy way of making wine. It's like, clearly she's talking about blood. And so I got a lot of, and just, it looks like Victorian style, like the castle and everything, and the way the ladies were dressed. Also a lot of ladies in this new Resident Evil, which seems, they're really creepy, and they're like, they seem happy about like you wandering around, and I think they're pretty hungry for blood. Just a lot of blood, a lot of blood talk going on in this demo and trailer, and it gave me Bloodborne vibes, to be honest with you, from like the setting and the character design, and just the enemies you face. They look like Bloodborne-y kind of characters, between the hooded guys, and then there was also this giant guy with a hammer. They just look like Bloodborne style. You know what I mean?
I didn't say a hammer guy. Where was he
You
at?
didn't watch the trailer? With the
in the trailer. I thought you meant in the demo.
No. Because in the demo you don't do any sort of combat. But in the trailer they show a little bit of it, and there are some monsters that you fight that look Bloodborne-y. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or like, some things kind of out of RE4 even.
Yeah.
Some of the crazier villagers, like the chainsaw guy, starts to get into that territory.
Yeah, and they're also gonna have that inventory style. They talked about in the showcase. They talked about they're gonna have a crafting ability in this game. You'll be able to make like med sprays and different types of ammos, which is pretty interesting. I don't think that's ever been done in a Resident Evil game. I just hope they don't go too heavy-handed with it. Like crafting certain materials, I think is fine, but when it comes into crafting like ammo, I don't know. It kind of threw me off a little bit because I'm like, well, I don't want this to be necessarily like an action-heavy. Like I have 10 different types of ammos for 10 different types of enemies with my guns, and like I don't like, to me that's not Resident Evil. That seems more of like an action perk rather than a horror survival kind of game. But hopefully they don't go too heavy-handed with it.
Yeah, I mean, you were pretty limited in what you could do in RE7, so I would be pretty shocked if they went too far off the deep end with that. It's probably one of those things like, well, I can make 3 bullets, or I can heal myself of from poison, or something like that. Right. So I'm sure it's in that realm of things.
I was just afraid, like when they mentioned specifically you can craft different ammo, I was like, I hope that's not like you can make like incendiary ammo and cryo ammo and like electric ammo. I'm like, whoa, that's where my head went, because that's all I'm afraid of. I'm sure they won't. Yeah. I'm sure it's like you said, like you can craft 2 bullets or a healing spray that'll give you like 10 health. And it's like, well, because that seems like what Resident Evil's like.
Yeah.
And they do that a little bit in some of the Resident Evil games, like 2 and 3, for instance. You can craft like a incendiary grenade or something like that, or like 2 shotgun shells. You just have to find the sources, resources to do that, but they're sort of few and far between. So I'm sure it'll kind of be in the same realm.
For sure. Alongside the Resident Evil Village demo, there's also been a really funny response online. At the end of the demo, there's this big lady, and I don't mean big like wide. I mean big like she looks like she's like 10 feet tall. At the end of the demo, you escape you open the door to get out of this castle, and like as soon as you open it, like this big lady in a big white dress and a big hat, she just kind of shows up and she's like, well, hello, and then she's like towering over you, like super tall. And man, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the X-Men character Lady Deathstrike, but she's a character in X-Men whose fingernails, she's like Wolverine, but instead of claws, it's her fingernails that kind of just shing, like grow super long. That's what this lady does. Spoilers. She like grows her fingernails and just stabs you, and that's like the end of the demo. But there's been a funny response online because the demo has shown that it seems like the antagonists are a group of vampiric women almost. Some of them are able to just disappear into like these black mosquito-y bugs. Instead of bats, they just become like these bugs and they fly away. And then there's this main lady. But there's been a funny response by gamer boys who are like, oh man, I'd let them sacrifice me. It's been pretty hilarious. Mainly because like the one lady, I think her name is Lady Dimitrescu, or I don't know how to pronounce it. Dimitrescu. It's something. It sounds almost Romanian, I think.
Close enough.
Yeah, but like she shows up and she's blood, Lady Blood. And I just thought it was really interesting because like this lady towers over you and the other characters. So I'm just interested to see like how this kind of fits in the Resident Evil world, because I know there's always been like big monsters and stuff, but like I don't think the people have ever been that big. And she just looks kind of like relatively normal. She's just really, really large and kind of scary. But it'll be interesting to see when the game comes out. But
so what you're telling me is you can craft bullets or stilts to get as tall as her, right?
That's what's happening? I'm hoping so, because I'm hoping this game comes down to a limbo competition, because then she'll really lose because she's so large. But alongside the demo and the trailer that came out, they also talked about this a free-to-play multiplayer game for everyone that purchases Resident Evil Village called RE Verse. And it seems like it's a deathmatch kind of style game where you can play as like previous main characters, and I think you could also play as like some of the bad guys as well. It was kind of a quick trailer, but it seems pretty cool, like a multiplayer deathmatch style, and you can play as like Leon and Redfield and all the fun, lovable Resident Evil characters. Would you guys be interested in an RE multiplayer deathmatch game?
I saw the trailer, and as a huge Resident Evil fan,
really,
it looked like butt.
Really,
that trailer looked like butt. Yeah,
wow.
I mean, Capcom does this thing every few years where it's like, we're going to try to do a multiplayer game with Resident Evil, and it's always just goddamn awful. Like, every time. It's like they had that multiplayer mode with Resident Evil 3, and that was just a big pile of butts, really bad.
Pile of butts.
And then they and then like Operation Raccoon City, I think is the name of it. That was like another multiplayer game that came out a few years ago. And I was getting like 3s and 4s on the reviews. So it's just one of those things. So it's like, stop trying to make a multiplayer Resident Evil game. Like the closest they've gotten, and it's been pretty good, is like the mercenary modes in those games.
Right.
But outside of that, it's like, just cut it out. Like we don't need that. We're fine. Just give me like spooky single player games. Like it's I'm glad they're not trying to charge extra money for it, but at the same time, it's like, take them resources and stick them elsewhere, because I definitely don't need that. Just give me like a good Resident Evil game, preferably in third person, preferably Resident Evil 4.
Just remake that 10 more times, because I can buy it 10 more times. Yeah, to be honest, I looked at the trailer. This doesn't seem like I'm not huge on multiplayer deathmatch kind of shooty games. And this kind of seems like it's following that formula, and I'm just like, yeah, that's fine, I guess, if you're into that kind of thing, but didn't really speak for me. Honestly, like, the most fun I've ever had with a Resident Evil multiplayer was when I played RE5, and that's the story mode, playing 2-player with that. But even that was only bearable to a point, because after, like, first level, the game kind of just, like, dips down into not that good of a game. But like, I enjoyed that, so I was like, you know what, if I'd rather have that kind of multiplayer where I can have like a buddy tag along with me in the story, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I haven't watched the trailer, but I just thinking from an outside perspective of like, I feel like that what they're trying to do is tap into the market of what's really popular right now, and from what I'm not a big Resident Evil player, and I played a couple games a long time ago, but I would follow my brother, like I would watch him play the games and stuff. But from what I remember, it doesn't feel like a quick movement, quick pace kind of like multiplayer style shooter. It's more of like the slow pace co-op, like what you're talking about. That's what I feel like it should be more geared toward, But I think it's good for them to chime into it and at least put something out there and see if people like it.
Sure, and I think that's why it's free. Like, it's a free add-on for anyone that gets RE Village, which I think is fine. But you're right, it's definitely not like a twitchy kind of style. It's definitely not. Like, it's third person, and it still looks like you have tanky controls when you're playing it. It's just like, man, just put that in the game. Just give me like a third person mode of the game. Like, I don't want to play.
Is the multiplayer third person, but the game is first person?
Yeah, the multiplayer looked like it's a third person kind of shooter deathmatch, and then the game RE Village is first person, because which started with Resident Evil 7 in 2017, I think it was, when it came out.
Yeah, it looks like they were making this multiplayer when they were working on Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 remakes.
Yeah, it's the same art style.
Yeah, it's like the art style, but then they like dumbed it down a little. It looks like they, kind of simplified it for, I guess for the purposes of like a multiplayer. But it's basically like Resident Evil 2 and 3 characters in like a multiplayer running around like shooting each other, and it's just, all right. I don't know why I would want this, but sure, okay.
I wouldn't mind if it had some sort of co-op thing where it's like, instead of shooting each other, you can do like some sort of survival mode. I wouldn't mind that. I think that'd
like
be
a
more
horde
fun.
mode.
Yeah.
Like you and a buddy have to try and survive as long as you can with the, whatever they throw at you, and there could be different stages. I wouldn't mind that. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
And that was basically mercenary mode, and they had that for a bunch of their games back in the day. RE4 had it, RE5 had it. Resident Evil Mercenaries, I believe, was basically that entire mode. It was like a 3DS game. So it's like they've done it. I think RE6 had it too. But yeah, it's like just bring that back. That I like that mode. That's fun. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. I agree. I think I would be much more interested in a co-op rather than a team deathmatch style. Everybody running around like just throwing incendiary grenades and just shooting randomly. Like I'm not really into that kind of that scene.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, other than that, I really enjoyed that demo. The trailer I thought was really cool. I love the set design, the art design. I think is really beautiful. Like you get to pick up different items and like examine it. Like there's a teacup that you can look at and it's bloody and it looks, it's just the attention to detail I think was really well done. And I think that kind of game will put the I think they're the Pulse 3D headphones. Is that what they're called? For PS5. I think it'll put that on like big display because I didn't play with headphones. I got a new soundbar for my TV and I was playing with that and the quality from that was really, really great. But I can only imagine if I would try it with those Pulse 3D headphones. I'm sure it'll make that game even better.
Yeah, I tell you, you missed it because like I was wearing the headphones, I'm playing that, and then there's that part that comes up where she. That witchy lady just like in your ear, like literally inside of my ear canal. She was just like, "I'm watching you."
Yeah.
And she's like, what the? Where is that? I'm like looking around my room, like I swear somebody came up and whispered in my ear, and it freaked me out. I was like, I don't know where that came from.
Nice.
I guess I was in the game, and it was just really, it got me good. Stupid Resident Evil.
Yeah, I'm like I like. As I was saying that, I was kind of thinking in my head, like second guessing, like I don't know if I would be like brave enough to play it with those headphones because it'd just be a little too scary, Like I need it, maybe I'll do it at like 12 o'clock in the afternoon with the shades wide open, plenty of sunlight. Maybe then I'll try it with the headphones.
You gotta be fully immersed for that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just, man, it was creepy. Like it was legit creepy. The setting, the vibe was really creepy.
That's awesome.
The lady's voices were creepy. Like everything about it. Yeah, it scared me, and I can imagine playing it at night with those Pulse 3D headphones. I probably wouldn't be able to finish it, to be honest with you.
Mick, you should for one of your Twitch streams, you should do Resident Evil 7 in VR because you can play it in VR.
That's true.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it's
that's
really
like,
scary.
Yeah, I heard that's like scary as hell. Because I mean, you're basically trapped in a house with a bunch of like invincible psychopaths. Just trying to chop you.
Yeah,
up.
dude.
I'm gonna look that up because I've been actually looking for more horror games or like some of my, I've been like I'm not a big horror fan, but I've with this VR I've been tapping into it a lot, and like Phasmophobia is the one I'm playing right now, which has elements of it, but once you play it a lot, you kind of learn everything about it. So I'm definitely looking for more horror games to try and tap into that. So
Resident Evil 7. Pick that up. I will watch that that Twitch stream.
Same. I will gladly watch it. Like that,
right.
I've heard it's legit. Like some people can't finish it like in VR mode because it's too much. Yeah, it's crazy. But anyway, so yeah, it's lots of nice spooky Resident Evil talk, which is always nice. 25th anniversary this year, so they've got, and I think there's also an animated movie coming out on Netflix this year.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, plenty of Resident Evil stuff moving forward, but it's time to move on from Resident Evil because something happened that I thought was pretty interesting with Microsoft and Xbox. I don't know if you guys heard about this or read about this, but they were planning on like upping the prices for Xbox Live Gold, and not just upping it, but like doubling it. So like a yearly subscription would be over $100 now, and it would go up to $120. And it's like they announced it, and then as the internet does, it raged and was like, "Are you out of your mind?" And then later, Xbox was like, "Sorry, we heard you. We're just gonna take all that back now, and we're good now." And by the way, like they also, in conjunction with that, they announced that, I don't want to get the quote right here. Free to play games will truly be free, and you will no longer need an Xbox Live Gold membership to play those games on Xbox. We are working hard to deliver this change as soon as possible in the coming months. So now games like Fortnite will be able to truly be free on on Xbox, which I think is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
I read this. Do you believe like 100% that they were going to do this hike in price, or do you think they were just kind of like testing the waters a little bit, the feedback? I feel like it was too much of a, we're going to up the price. Everyone's like, no. And they're like, just kidding. We're not going to actually do it. It just seemed like, man, it seemed really simple or easy, you know?
Yeah, I feel like that was just one of those, kind of executive decisions that just came from the higher ups. Like, hey, we gotta, make some more money somewhere. Where can we make more money? Let's just tack it on to, the gold pass or whatever, and that will be that. Because basically they want to steer people towards the ultimate pass that comes with like Game Pass, and that comes with like Xbox Gold or whatever, and just kind of, because I think like the Game Pass, this off the top of my head, that's like $10 a month if you're going monthly, and then like the ultimate pass is like $15 a month.
I think that's what it is.
$15.99. Yeah, that's what I have.
Yeah, and so it's like they want people to do that, So it's like, well, if we just hike up the price of, the Xbox Gold Pass, and then people are like, well, I'm just gonna get the ultimate, and then those numbers look even better. It's like, oh yeah, look at all of our people on Game Pass now. Now we're up to 50 million people, and it's just it's all just like a numbers game where they're just trying to get people to sign up for one thing or just make them spend more somewhere else. It's just a bottom line kind of thing.
But then they also went on to say that now free to play games are truly free to play. So aren't they technically losing money?
I guess so. If you want to think about it that way. Once again, I think that's one of those things. It's like once they got the backlash, they probably heard it.
Yeah.
And then we're like, yeah, maybe it is kind of like stinky that we're, just literally they're the only service where you have to pay for the online pass to play a free to play game. Like PlayStation, Nintendo, filthy PC people, like you can just download the
filthy PC people.
You just download the Fortnite or whatever, and you can just play. You don't need like an online subscription or whatever. But then like Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, they make money on the back end because like when you buy like some back bling in Fortnite or whatever nonsense the kids are doing.
Back bling?
Yeah, it's called back bling. Like the backpacks you wear in that game, it's called back bling. Stupidest thing I've ever heard. But they're making billions of dollars a year. So what do I know?
That's true.
But they like if you buy that on on the Xbox store, the back bling, then or like a season pass. Then Microsoft gets a cut of that.
Right,
so
they get a piece.
I think they just kind of, so I think that's probably something where they just looked at it after the fact and were like looking at the numbers. And it's like, well, maybe if, this would be a good gesture, but also we want to bring more people into the Microsoft ecosystem.
Yeah.
Even with free-to-play games, and then can buy their back bling, and we'll get a cut there instead. So that's kind of, what I think.
I'm sure the Series X isn't doing as well as the PS5 is. I know they're both selling out, but I feel like the X hasn't had the same hype that the PS5 had. So I think that they're trying to, it could have been a ploy, it could have been them being like, oh, let's hike it up and then we'll pull it back and then we'll give them more stuff. You never know. But I think that the free to play is probably their incentive to be like, hey, join us, come on. Like they're trying to just pull everybody over and say, okay, now you can play our games for free and try. Someone that wants to buy a PS5, it's like, oh, there's an X available. All right, I'll just get the X for my kid or something,
That's true. That does make sense, because now that you can, especially with a game like Fortnite, it's the most popular game like in the world still, but like, I don't know, it just seemed weird that they were just all of a sudden like, we're going to double the price and you guys are going to take it. And then everyone's like, what? And
Yeah.
and then they're just like, psych, and you can now play Fortnite free. Maybe it is that mentality of like, oh, now the Series X, you can play these free games for free, and you don't have to have a gold subscription or a live. It's Live Gold, right? I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Xbox Live Gold. You don't, man. They really need to get. They're naming whoever's in charge of naming stuff at Xbox. Oh. They really. It's so many words.
It's goddamn awful. It's just awful. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get the Xbox Game Pass Gold for my Xbox Series X.
It's just so many words. It's like, so much to keep track of, and I feel like I'm talking about different things. But it's like the Xbox Live Gold Game Pass on the Xbox Series X. It's a mouthful. It's like so much to try and remember and say. But maybe they did do this to sell more Series X consoles, and with the mentality of like, we don't have a lot of those strong exclusives now, but maybe if we say like, oh, now free to play is truly free to play, we'll sell more. I don't know. It just seems weird because like every time I hear news about like this kind of stuff with Xbox, I keep thinking like, well, it's owned by Microsoft. And people with PCs don't necessarily have this problem, So it's just a strange kind of balance, you know what I mean, between the console and the gaming rig or PC, where you don't necessarily have to worry about these type of costs and price adjustments, everything, because you just play things online, no problem. But yeah,
there's one thing that sucks about the Microsoft PC integration thing, like. There are some games you can buy off Steam and some games you can get off the Microsoft Marketplace. If I buy it on the Microsoft Xbox Marketplace and my friend buys it on Steam, sometimes you can't cross-platform because you can't play with a version that's on a different purchase, but you're both on PC. And that's what I find difficult about some games with Microsoft. I think they need to make a better integration with that system, so you can, because I have games that I have the Game Pass and I play some of those games, but some of them are free on there. Versus like you have to buy it on Steam or something like that,
And do they not like if it's a multiplayer game, for example, does it not like cross servers? Like do you play with really? I thought they did.
Yeah, not so like
just depends on the game.
More specifically, the game that I'm talking about, there's a game called Dead by Daylight, and I had that on because I was an Xbox player for a long time since 2006, 2005, and I just switched to PC at the end of last year. And
filthy PC boy.
Anybody listening, it is the greatest change you will ever make. Well, I guess if you have the money for it. I put a little bit of extra money into this, but
have fun playing God of War 2 on there.
No, I just I bought a couple $1,000 PC to play Among Us. That's what I'm just gonna do.
I just can't get past this. Playing with this, it freaks me out. Like I can't do it.
I play controller for certain games, but there are a couple games that I do mouse and keyboard for. So I go back and forth. Like I have I have the Xbox Elite controller that I play on here. So
nice.
I switch back and forth.
You know what's funny? This is a random thought, and I wanted to bring this up, but you gave me a good segue for it. The controller talk. I've been playing, PS5. Obviously, I've been playing it a lot because I just got one. Thank you, Zach.
I got you, Doug.
And I really like the controller. Like I was playing the Miles Morales game, super fun. And then after I beat it and got the platinum trophy, and like I legit 100%ed everything you could do in that game, I was like, you know what? Let me try and play a different game on the PS5. So I played. I went to Overwatch, played a little bit of Overwatch on my PS5, and the controller. I started to suck. I couldn't play
oh man.
I don't know what it was. I was playing the game and I was like, my settings are the same, like nothing changed, and I was playing on the controller and I was like, I can't do it. Like I it's not that I forgot how to play the game, but the sticks, they feel different than the PS4 sticks. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if there's I don't know the architecture of the controller. Like I didn't design it. I'm no game engineer or anything, but playing on those sticks, I was like, I can't do it. Like it just feels different, and I can't move the way I want to move that I'm used to, and it was freaking me out. And I was losing because I couldn't do anything. I was playing really terribly, and because of that, I discovered that you can play with the PS4 controller on the PS5 for games with that were on the PS4. It's so weird. I don't know what it is, but Have you, like Zach or Mick, have you guys had that issue? Have any issue with controllers, like something new or different, and it feels like it's good, but it feels different and slightly throwing you off? Because man, that PS5 controller, it's great, but I tried playing Overwatch and it threw me off completely. Like I was like sinking super fast. I could not play and I'm not saying I'm really good at Overwatch or anything. Like I'm
You're fantastic.
Thank you. But I was playing terribly. I was so bad when I played that.
It's a real thing. It's a real thing with controllers. Like, you know, I used for a long time when I was on Xbox. I had the Xbox Elite 1, and then I remember I sold it because I stopped playing for a while. I took a break from gaming, and then I came back and I had just the regular controllers. And then up until about like November of last year, I bought the Elite 2, which is this one right here, and they added this like little grip on this.
Oh, it looks like a Dreamcast controller.
Yeah, it's weird. Well, I have a little addition on the bottom, so it has like an extra thing.
Okay.
But
that's
they added this grip to this, and the first day I played it, I literally was like, I just spent, I think it's like $200 for this controller, and I was like, I just spent $200 on this controller, and I hate it.
Oh no!
Like I hated it. So I literally turned it off and I plugged in my original one. I wanted it because I wanted paddles. Like I was playing Call of Duty and I can do some extra things with it. And then I like stopped playing with it for a few days. And then I was like, I'm about to return this and then maybe get like a scuff, you know. And I looked at scuff and they didn't have great reviews. I went back and forth, and I was like, okay, I'll give it another couple tries. And after a few days of it, I now really like it.
Okay.
But it took a while to get adjusted to because the grip was so much different. My hands felt like I was slipping. Some of the thumbsticks felt a little bit different. So that is 100% like a real thing. And if there's a slight difference in the controller from generation to generation, you'll play so much different. You just kind of have to relearn, you know, just a little bit more and spend it, you know, a week just doing it and just forcing yourself into it. And the same thing going from controller to mouse and keyboard. Like I just did that for this game called Escape from Tarkov that I'm playing because I would love to use a controller, but you can't. I'm sitting here like W, Q and E to lean. Okay, how do I throw a G? I'm like, I feel like I'm reaching across the whole keyboard to press buttons.
Dude. When I tried to play on a keyboard, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, after a week of doing it, I'm like, oh, I feel a little bit more comfortable, and now I feel the aim. I'm like starting. I can see the progression I'm working on. So it's definitely a real thing of just you have to have patience with it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say I have the same problem with controllers. Like, I don't know, maybe it's because I've just, like, had a controller in my hand since I was, like, 3, but anytime you put a controller in my hand, I'm pretty much good. Like, when I went from, like, PS3 to the PS4 controller, I was like, this is great, no problems here. I felt like my gaming got better. And then when I jumped to the PS5 controller, kind of the same thing, where it's like, oh, love this controller. I just jumped right into Overwatch and was, hooking people with Roadhog as I do. And
I
don't know. Maybe it's just me. I just couldn't.
No, yeah. Zach just thinks he's the best at everything.
That's true.
Okay.
Well, I am top 500 right now in Overwatch at number 40, I believe.
Oh, there we go.
So, going pro on PlayStation 5.
I just got back into Overwatch too, which is cool.
Nice.
It's fun.
Yeah. And I love that game. But there was one controller I picked up for the PS4 just to try something different. Because, like, PS4 controller is okay, but I would get hand cramps from it sometimes. And just wanted something better. I got this, like, Nacon controller. It's like a high-end controller. And I started to suck with that one. That one, it just never felt right. That was like $150 controller, I think it was, and
dude,
it's just one of those things. It was like, well, I'm just gonna go back to the regular controller. I can't do this one. But like,
you want to talk about bad controllers, man? For the PS4, I got the Astro C40T, I think is what it's called. It's like the super fancy.
I thought you were still using that one.
No, I bought it, and in like the first 2 months, I had the worst stick drift. And it was terrible. Like it was really. Yikes. Oh yeah, it was bad. And like, but the thing about that controller is you can kind of disassemble it and you can switch the sticks if you want. Mm-hmm. And so I did that, and then I got drift on both sticks, and I was like, oh my god. And like I talked to customer service, and they were like, did you try resetting? Blah blah. I'm like, yes, I did all that. I was like, yes, I've done all of this. I switched the ports. I did everything you said. And they're like, that's weird.
Did you try plugging it in?
Yeah, they sent me one replacement stick. One. and it still had drift.
Cheap bastards.
It still had the drift, and like it got to a point where I was like, I had gone back and forth with their customer service through email at least 30 times, and I was like, I'm done. This controller is going to go to Goodwill, and I hope someday somebody can use it for good use. But I was so mad. Like, I was so angry because that controller is like $200, and it had gone past the point of me being able to return it. And I was like, this is just the worst. And the customer service was like, did you do this? I'm like, did you? Like, I was like, yes, I did everything. It was just awful.
Yeah. Did you make a good product?
It really seems like the only like kind of elite type controllers that, you know, overall have like good reviews and not too many problems are the Xbox Elite controllers. Like every other like Scuff and stuff, just constantly you go read reviews and everybody's like, my Scuff controller I spent $280 on and it just is bad. It drifts, it does this, that, and the other, and it's just like, how do these companies stay in business making crap controllers? It's
because of streamers. The reason why those controllers are so popular is because streamers are sponsored by them, but the streamers don't tell you that the streamers are just sent hundreds of controllers. Like every time there's break, they just switch it out with a new one. But they get paid. They get paid, so they're not going to say, "Oh, here's a bad product. Here's 20% off Scuff. Go buy a controller."
That's
true. Then you read all the reviews, and it's like people are. I took time and I went into like a ton of different websites and reviews, and people are like, why do streamers advertise this? That, they're lying to us. And like, there's a really big thing where that brand I've heard has after like, a couple months of playing it, they just give out sometimes, and I think that
that's why I didn't get a Scuff. I got the crappy Nacon one because I just
exactly. But most people just look at the streamer and they're like, oh, they use Scuff, I gotta get one. They don't look it up.
It's funny. I have 3 different PS4s, right? I have the Arkham Knight one that came out years ago, the Arkham Knight edition of the PS4, at the Spider-Man PS4 Pro and the God of War PS4 Pro. I have had 4 different PS4 controllers, including that Astro one, 1 controller per console, right? 3 of those controllers have drift. The only one that does not have drift or any issues is the OG Arkham Knight controller from like 10 years ago. Wow. I don't know how. The Spider-Man one got drift, God of War one got drift. The Astro C40 controller was just a piece of poo on arrival and just was drifting nonstop. And so I was like, I don't understand how the original PS4 controller from the Arkham Knight bundle is the best one.
It's that Wayne Tech.
That's all it is. That Batman Wayne Tech. It's like impervious to drift and any problems. Like, I don't understand why. It's just so weird. I'm hoping my PS5 controller, there's never any issues with that, but I don't know. I got to try different. Yeah, I got to try different PS5 games because maybe it's just Overwatch. I don't know. I just can't. I can't do it with that controller. I just can't. I tried and I was...
That's so weird.
Dude, I don't know what it is. You know what? I think it's like the sensitivity is like different. Like I'm trying to be very like precise and it just kind of just goes really fast. And like I was messing around with controls and yeah, I don't know. It's weird. But problems aside, I think it's time to move on.
Let's do it.
So little interesting piece of news that I have found this week that a lot of people might not know about. But there's a man named Takaya Imamura, and he worked for Nintendo for like I think 30 plus years now, and he announced his retirement. He has worked on such titles as F-Zero, the OG F-Zero, Star Fox, and some of the Legend of Zelda titles. And I just thought it'd be kind of cool to talk about him and a little bit of his work because there's little neat pieces of trivia and history that he was a part of. One being a developer for the F-Zero game, like he helped render vehicles and design the characters and design the vehicles, which I think is really cool because I think that game has very interesting like artwork in terms of a racing game. Like the cars, they did a really good job of making things look futuristic. Like the idea of like, wait, let's not have wheels because then everything looks like it's the future, and like that makes a lot of sense. That's really smart. But he also worked on character designs for Star Fox. Like the whole anthropomorphic look of characters, like he was a part of that. And what's really cool is that he drew out like an original piece of artwork for the Star Fox game. He drew the Star Wolf team, And for people who have a Super Nintendo Classic, that piece of artwork by his is available to look at on the digital manual that you can download for Star Fox 2. That's on the SNES Classic, which I think is really cool, really interesting, a little piece of history that is now preserved, not just on the internet, but like on a piece of hardware, and like, it's attached to something, to a game, like a game of myth a little bit that was always talked about for so long, and now officially has come out a few years ago when the SNES Classic came out. But what he's also known for, and I think is kind of the funniest, is that man designed and created the character of Tingle from The Legend of Zelda, which I think a lot of people, I think, instantly recognize this character more than they would probably recognize an F-Zero character or even a Star Fox character, because I think those two franchises, they fly a little more under the radar than Zelda does. And a character like Tingle, I think, has become so prominent in Zelda, and it's so because of his silly like nature and how he looks and how he acts. But I thought it was a little interesting piece of history that happened, and the man worked at Nintendo for 30 plus years, so he's off to retire and do whatever he wants now in his life. I just thought it was really cool, like a guy like that moving on and like putting his staple on Nintendo. He's obviously not like Miyamoto or anything, but like an interesting part of the team, and definitely like a necessary part of the team, where like if he wasn't there, who knows, things might have been a lot different for F-Zero or Star Fox or even Zelda. We don't know. But
we wouldn't have Tingle.
We wouldn't have Tingle. Did you guys know the first game that Tingle came out on?
Was it before Majora's Mask?
I mean, you have to guess.
I'm gonna say Majora's Mask.
That was gonna that was gonna be my guess.
You get Majora's Mask?
That's my guess.
Yeah.
You would be right. It is Majora's Mask. That was the first time Tingle popped up.
I was trying to rack my brains, like, where would that man have been before Majora's Mask? But that sounds right.
Yeah. This is really interesting. Like this really weird-looking fairy guy who's obsessed with fairies. Right. Yeah, he was really funny.
Tingle is like a nightmare character. I would never want to like run into this man in real life. It's just like this weirdo in like a full green jumpsuit with like balloons, and like this guy
a giant nose.
Oh my god.
Like this guy straight up looks like he needs to be on like a sex offenders list or something. Like he's got some literal problems.
It's funny though. Like now he's kind of been in. I think he's been a bunch of different Zelda games, like a minor character. I think he was also in. He wasn't in Breath of the Wild, but like I think he was in Hyrule Warriors or something.
Yeah, you could play as him in Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah, that's what it is. You can play as him.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's awesome though. Like it's such a funny, interesting side character who's obsessed with fairies and like he's so silly. But I've always thought he was really funny, and that's kind of why that piece of news jumped out at me, because like when I was a kid, like Majora's Mask was like my first 3D Zelda game. Like I played that one before I played Ocarina of Time, and so when I met Tingle, I was like, this guy's like obsessed with fairies and stuff, and like I am a fairy boy, but like it's just super weird but really funny, and I thought he was just a really interesting character and really funny. But
yeah,
I was reading an article too that it said that he took part in designing the moon for Majora's Mask. Is that right? Like the creepy face on it.
He might have.
That's what it said. I think it said that in the article. He was part of that team. It's just I remember that's like a big part of that game of just. Every night. Just the moon just destroying.
He created that creepy moon face, which is like, kind of the thing if I remember one thing from that game, it's just that freaky moon just like coming at me.
Yeah, for sure.
It's all you think about every time the night passes.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get that remake on the Switch this year. Hopefully.
Don't get my hopes up, please. Dope. I've been waiting so long.
Yeah. This news is just like good for the man. He spent 32 years at Nintendo and had his hands all over a lot of different projects. So like good for him to kind of retire now and whatnot. But we're starting to lose those like old school guys. Especially at Nintendo, kind of being the oldest. Kind of the oldest company in the game doing this stuff for the most part. But it's like eventually like Miyamoto's gonna dip out, and people that are not Satoru Iwata, he is dead. But who am I trying to think of? Sakurai. It's just Sakurai. Like people, these old school guys at Nintendo that have like such a hand in things like, you know, Mario, Zelda, you know, Donkey Kong,
Sure.
you know, F-Zero. Like we're just starting to, you know, Metroid. We're starting to lose these guys. And you know, it's like I'm sure Nintendo will find some new, you know, faces to kind of
young blood,
you know, take up,
move up, and
that young blood. But yeah, it's just like these old school guys have like such an interesting perspective on gaming, and you know, the art styles they kind of leaned into, and you know, games like you know, especially like F-Zero, you know, Zelda, and Star Fox. I think I have like fascinating worlds with like really interesting characters in them. I really wish that we'd see more from like the F-Zero and Star Fox worlds. You know, I know we kind of talked about like a third person, you know, like a Yakuza style game in the F-Zero world. But also, like, you know, I would love to see like almost like a Mass Effect type game in the Star Fox world,
Sure,
you know,
sure.
without furry sex, obviously. But
no, it has to have it. Are you kidding me?
Oh, that game would get a lot of love for all the wrong reasons. But you know, just like, you know, something where like you can kind of travel around and explore different worlds and fascinating characters. There's a super cool YouTube series called A Fox in Space.
I heard about that.
Man, it's so good. Obviously not sponsored by Nintendo, but like, you know, it's basically this really cool animated short series that kind of explores the Star Fox world. It's like, man, I wish they would do more with that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, just overall though, you know, Amamura just had such a big role in some of these franchises. So sad to see him go, but good for the man. Hope he has a nice retirement.
For sure, definitely had a big impact, and it's cool seeing these people that have been with the company for so long. You know, it's their time to retire. They've earned it. They've done a really great job, and like you were saying, I'm interested to see like who the next Iwata is, the next Miyamoto, you know, who's next in line for Nintendo to kind of take the reins, and you know, that next generation to see where they can take the company and what ideas they can bring forth, whether it's original or expanding on old IP. Like it's always interesting to see what's going to happen when that first generation moves on and the new one kind of takes the reins and takes control. Because I think, you know, games like F-Zero, Star Fox, Metroid, like those games are kind of forgotten, and you know, I know they're technically working on a new Metroid game, and who knows when that'll happen. But it'll be interesting to see if like the next generation of people at Nintendo who take charge, like if they show more love for the underrepresented franchises. You know, like, you know, maybe there's a guy there who learned a lot from Imamura and is like, you know what, I have a cool idea for Star Fox, and maybe there's a new great Star Fox game to come out, or a new great F-Zero game to come out. You know, I'm hoping that these things happen, because you know, it is always sad to see like, you know, people who've done a great job, who've worked on really great stuff. It's always sad to see them go, but it's also a good chance to see what other people have to bring to the table. You know, like who else has cool ideas.
Yeah, and you know, even like the president of Nintendo right now, Furukawa, he's 49 now, and you know, he grew up playing the Famicom, and you know, so it's like you're gonna kind of see these like younger guys kind of come up in the ranks at Nintendo that like grew up on like, the Famicom and Super Famicom that you know, are gonna kind of, there might be that artist out there. It's like, I grew up on Star Fox and like love that series, and like here's my new pitch for a Star Fox game, and hopefully it won't be shut down. So we'll see.
I'm hoping that a lot of these
Fingers crossed.
I'm hoping a lot of these cool franchises can get a little bit of a revival, but you know, we'll see what happens. We're getting a little short on time, but I just want to finish off today's episode with just a little bit of some video game history. I wanted to bring this up to you guys because I think it's kind of cool and it fits right on cue with what we've been talking about today. But I will tell you, this piece of history, this game came out in 1998. This game, so you can get the idea. Like, you know, remember, let's all go back to 1998. Titanic was the big hit the year before, and you know, Batman and Robin came out the year before. Everyone's still high off the heels of Batman and Robin, and
I don't know about all that,
but it's two movies.
Sure, why
everyone's
not?
talking about Titanic and Batman and Robin, from the best to the worst, just discussing, and like that's the life we're living through. And the R. Kelly Gotham City song came out, and everyone's great, really high on it. So, but yeah, this game came out January. Hold on, I have the exact number over here.
98.
Yep.
Yeah, so 98. So you got
what consoles do we have in
that's
98?
so you basically you're living in the N64, PlayStation 1, and Sega Saturn world. 98 in November, if I remember correctly, is when the Dreamcast came out in Japan, but it didn't come out till 99, I believe, in
January 21st
the US.
is the exact date, by the way. January 21st, 1998.
Yeah, which is strange for a video game at that time. You know, a lot of games, they came out sort of in the Christmas, holiday window. Not a lot of games like right after Christmas. It's like a strange times for strange times for games.
I think January in general is always a little slow, right, for games. It's the beginning of the new year.
Yeah,
not really
exactly
time for big releases, but this one,
right.
This one came out at that time.
Okay, so was this on the N64?
No. Well, not at that time. Eventually.
Not at that time.
Eventually.
Was this on the PlayStation?
Yes.
Oh boy, okay.
Was this a Resident Evil game?
Oh, you're getting closer.
Was it Silent Hill?
No, not Silent Hill.
Was this RE3?
No.
RE2. Oh, wait, no, hang on. When did RE2 come out? So RE1 came out in 96. No, RE3 was 99. So RE2? Was it RE2?
Yeah, RE2.
Wow. Damn.
Crush that!
Right on brand with today's episode.
The very first thing I thought of when you were talking about 98, I was like, House of the Dead was around then, right? That's all I was thinking of. And then Zach's like, the Dreamcast was 98. No, 99 in America.
Yeah, you can see the numbers going in his head just flying by.
I'm
like, I remember a couple of games around then.
Well, see that. So
that's awesome.
This is why I don't remember. Like, I don't know people's names. I don't know. I don't know anything. I could see an actor for 20 years and be like, I don't know who that person is. But it's like, for some reason, video games is like are just ingrained in my brain. And Resident Evil in general is one of like the few series where like they always release kind of early in the year, which is why I kind of went down that path. And obviously, we were talking about Resident Evil earlier, so. That was kind of like Resident Evil was on the brain, but the RE2 remake I think was also a January game.
Yeah, I think it was
if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I believe so.
And then the Resident Evil 3 remake was in March, I believe, and I think it was kind of the same like the originals. Yeah, RE2 was like a January game, and RE3 I think was like probably a March game when it came out in '99, something like that.
Yeah, I'm sure it was pretty early on. They always seem to be kind of early in the year.
Yeah, which is strange. I don't know why they've always, like, Resident Evil's always kind of hit that window of time. You would think they would kind of aim for that, the spooky time of the year, like, October-ish, but
sure.
They always kind of lean into, like, early, the early, parts of the year with the Resident Evil franchise.
Capcom, man. They're just weird.
Yeah. I don't know. Is there a spooky time in Japan during, like... January or something that I'm unaware of?
Maybe it's... Did you guys ever watch BoJack Horseman?
Oh, yeah.
There's I think his name is Todd, and he's like, what if you wanted Halloween all year long? And so they opened up a Halloween store in, like, January, and, like, maybe it's the same idea. Like, they just want spooky stuff in January, or, like, different...
I guess.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that. I always love spooky things all across the year, you know what I mean? It's always cool to have.
Oh yeah.
But I think that about wraps it up for this week's edition of Multiplayer. I think it was a pretty good show. Talked a lot about Resident Evil, some Nintendo news, some Xbox news. Yeah, I have been your host today, Javier Ortiz. You can find me at not Jumpman, sorry. Ooh, man, things change.
The Loverboy Hav.
Loverboy_Hav on Instagram is where you can find me now. Thanks to Zach, finally, broke me down. I finally changed it. Zach, how about you? Where can the peeps find you, Zach?
You can find me at Zach Matzganis. That's ZACKMATZGANIS.
Very nice. And Mick, how about you? And feel free to plug that Twitch of yours as well, like you did.
Well,
earlier.
you can follow me on Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Whoa.
I think that's all of them, right? Maybe we'll just stick to TikTok and Twitch right now because that's where the biggest platforms are for me.
Nice.
But
What
you can
about
follow
Twitch
me,
Talk?
Twitch Talk, yeah. Follow me at Mick to the Wood. So twitch.tv/Mick to the Wood, and I stream on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6:15 p.m. Until I get tired. So it's usually about 4 hours sometimes. Usually.
Yeah. Please play through RE7.
Yeah.
I'll look into that.
I really want to watch
I'll
that.
look into it and see if I can get it.
The minute you do that, I will definitely watch. That'd be
right.
super cool. Because I've never played it, and I'm too scared to. I'm a little chicken boy, so especially for VR. But I will definitely watch through your eyes and go on that venture with you. I think it'd be really fun.
Awesome.
Cool.
Dope.
Well, great. Hopefully everyone else has enjoyed this episode. Thank you again for listening. And remember, we love you, and you should love you too.
We love you so much, and we love you, Mick.
I love me too.
Bye, everybody.
Peace.